comes the fall, and then the flood, and then the nations. And then 4,000 years ago, in a place called which is near the Persian Gulf, which would taste like salt, that reminds us of Sarah, Abraham, Lot, and Terah, who go down the Tigris and the Euphrates to a place called Haran, and that's where Terah dies. Now let's remember our map. We have the Sea of Galilee, the Jordan River, the Dead Sea, the Mediterranean, and then here would be Israel. Abraham had 2 sons, Ishmael and Isaac. Isaac had 2 sons, Esau and Jacob. Jacob had a son named Joseph, who ended up in Egypt, and then all the Jews went to Egypt for 400 years. And God sent a leader named Moses.
Before exploring the early life of Moses, we must briefly revisit the Israelites' history into the land of Egypt and how they found themselves in the land of the Egyptians for better context. In the book of Genesis, the Bible recorded that there was a great famine in the land, and God used a Hebrew man named Joseph, who was sold into slavery by his brothers, to liberate the land of Egypt. The Israelites then established themselves in Egypt, and in a show of gratitude for what Joseph did for them, the Egyptians accepted the people of Israel and treated them with respect. But long after Joseph's death, the lives of the Hebrews in Egypt started to change. God made Abraham's descendants to become numerous, and the Hebrew population in Egypt proliferated. They began to gain strength in numbers and influence in Egyptian affairs. When a new pharaoh sat on the throne, one who knew nothing about Joseph and was oblivious to the debt of gratitude Egypt owed to the people of Israel, the lives of the Hebrews changed drastically. Noticing the rapid growth of the Hebrew population and their thriving nature as blessed people of God, the Pharaoh feared that if the growth of the Israelites wasn't contained, they could pose a massive threat to the Egyptians. The Israelites were subjected to slavery and were forced to undergo degrading and complex tasks. Nonetheless, the people of Israel continued to multiply just as God promised Abraham. Pharaoh then ordered the midwives of the Israelites to kill the Hebrew offspring as soon as they were born, but they refused to obey such an order. Instead, when questioned about their decision to disobey, they stated that the Hebrew women were blessed with such strength that their babies were born before the arrival of the midwives. That angered Pharaoh, and in his rage, he made a decree that every newborn male child be executed and thrown into the Nile, and that only the females be saved. Terror grew among the Israelites as the Hebrew women witnessed their babies snatched from them and executed in cold blood. A woman of the tribe of Levi attempted to hide her son. She was successful for 3 months as she managed to dodge the Pharaoh's wrath. But as the baby grew older, it became more challenging to keep the baby hidden. Desperate to save her son's life, she put the baby in a basket, covered him with a seagrass blanket, and let him sail the Nile while she prayed to God for mercy, guidance, and protection for her son and to deliver him from his fate. God listened to the Levi woman's prayers and guided the basket towards the riverbank, where Pharaoh's daughter was bathing. She spotted the floating basket and ordered her maid to retrieve it from the water. To her greatest surprise, she found a beautiful baby boy inside. Not minding that the child was a Hebrew offspring, she adopted him and named him Moses. Moses grew and was among the highest Egyptian nobility and was treated as royalty. The Egyptian princess needed a nurse for the baby, and to feed Moses, a Hebrew slave woman was brought, and as the will of God would have it, it was none other than his biological mother. Among the princes of Egypt, Moses lived a life of luxury and privilege throughout his childhood.